straight
because I
from the
also
night
have.
shift, you got that scholarship.
It was, and to think it was not just a scholarship, it was a job offer.
Today's guest is someone I know way back in college. We met in a Kenjutsu class back in the Philippines and we formed a very good bond since then. She is one of the respected bloggers in the Philippines and is now currently a nurse in the UK. And today's episode is just a candid conversation between me and my friend JL, and she'll be sharing to us some of her zesty experiences in the UK. Hi, JL. It's been a while. How have you been?
Hi, Glee. Yeah, it's been a while. How long was it? 10 years? More than that?
10 years? That's 10 years already. Oh my God. Like it's
It's
revealing our
been a
age.
while.
OMG.
I think yeah, I think it was more than 10 years to be fair.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, how did you choose UK as being your country of like practicing your nursing degree apart from the
Hey,
Philippines?
it's not even part of the plan, to be honest. My original plan was actually Dubai
Mm.
or any Middle East country, not the UK. UK or England has actually been like in my wildest dreams, but was never part of the punch list, to be honest. I did that IELTS. Well, it happened like this. Around 2013, 2014, I started studying for international exams because I wanted to go either Dubai or Abu Dhabi for that matter. Most of my classmates back in USD, like back in the College of Nursing, most of my batchmates, my classmates have already been either Australia, New Zealand, Canada. Most of them had already, processed their papers. And here I am, stuck in a rut. Didn't actually know what to do next because I thought being in the hospitality industry, which is similar to the healthcare industry at some point, would actually be my ticket to going abroad. I
Mm.
actually saw myself working in the hotel industry, to be honest. Marketing
Oh.
communications was the name of the game. I was actually either part of the marketing communications team or I work as a social media manager. That has always been, or I either work in events and PR. So I was actually I was in a whirlwind of events, blogger events, hotel events everywhere. Hotel stays here, food reviews there, adventures over. So that was also the time that I have been trying to cultivate my outdoorsy stuff. Back in 2014 or 2015, I was able to work with one of the outdoor companies in Cebu.
Mm,
It's a
yeah.
well-known outdoor brand, and I had been exposed to really that was where I was able to implement whatever I learned during any outdoor activities that I had or any outdoor trainings like basic mountaineering course, wilderness first aid, all that matter. I even got into a basic learn to scuba dive thing.
Ah, yeah.
That was where I wanted to really scuba dive. Because for one, I don't know how to swim, I don't know how to bike. I wanted to be a triathlete, but the only thing that I can do is to run. I'm not a fast runner as well because I'm asthmatic. So anyway, so not that good. But as you very well know, I am interested into martial arts. That's where we are actually able to see each other.
Yes.
But then again, during that time, being in the martial arts arena was not my priority at that moment. They didn't have the chance to actually work together with them. Although
Mm.
I was part of the pioneering class, the pioneering batch, I trained
Mm.
under Li Lei, the very first wushu trainer in Cebu. I trained after him. I trained under him, but I was injured.
Oh,
So
was
I
that
had to.
after or before our Kenjutsu?
That was actually way before. That was way
Oh.
before because I was still high school at the time. I was like fourth year high school at the time, and then we had our Kenjutsu class first year
College.
college,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that was way before, and long before I got hooked with wushu, I was already practicing aikido and Aikido and Kung Fu way before that. Supposedly, Wushu was just like an add-on to, my interest. However, it was where I got severely injured with an ankle sprain. Wasn't able to walk for about 3 weeks, so I had to stop. And then I wasn't able to go back because I have to go back to square one if I will be going back to training,
Oh,
which
how? Why?
which well, if you miss even one day of training in Wushu back then, when it was looking late, you would have a hard time coping. And you'll have a hard time adapting to the modules or to the skills being taught because he didn't actually stayed for a long time. He stayed for about like what 3 months, I think, 4 months at most,
Mm.
and then he went back to China.
And how was he teaching the class? Is there like an
The
interpreter
problem was
or?
the problem was he didn't know the language that we speak. So someone had to interpret.
Mm.
And it
Mm.
was very difficult because most of his commands were very abrupt and
Mm.
he gets frustrated if you don't actually get it right the first time. He somehow gets
Mm.
frustrated in the long run. I mean at first he's like, okay, try to do it again one more time. But then if you can't do it again, he'll be like frustrated, which would
Mm.
mean it would be a harder task for the next few rounds. Imagine the the very reason why I got injured with wushu was our routine at the time was basically still calisthenics. You have to run. Remember in Cebu City Sports Complex in Abiliana, there was like the track and field oval, right?
Yeah.
You have to actually run as fast as you can and as far as you can. Once you reach to the end, you have to jump high as you can. When you land, you have to run back to where you started. So it's like
Oh.
jump, no, run, jump, run, jump, run, jump. You have to repeat that for 5 routines for 5 times. At first, I was okay, but I think due to the footwear that I was wearing as well at that time, I had a bad landing.
Mm.
I sprained my ankle, my right ankle. I sprained it. After I sprained my right ankle, wasn't able to go back to the wushu training. Took me a
Mm.
while to go back to the kung fu training, which I still have at that time, because I was juggling between aikido, kung fu, and wushu at the time.
Yeah.
So my mom said you have to select one. You have
Yeah.
to give
You
up
have to
one.
choose.
And I was like, I can't. And said, no, 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 you have to give up one. And I said, leave me no choice but to give up wushu at the time,
Mm.
which I don't really understand. I don't really. At that point, I was angry. I was frustrated because I wanted to really join. Imagine the honor of being part of the pioneer batch. Yeah. So during that time, and since it was already I lost my chance. So yeah, I just like set it aside and then moved on. And then, yeah. So, while I was doing those adventures, I was also trying to work or I was also trying to find a job in the hospital, which sadly, I didn't have a chance up until 2011, 2012, I think, as a volunteer in one of the hospitals in Cebu. Take note, volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
So, no payment. Yeah, but
Yes.
even before that, I was already trained with Philippine Red Cross for standard first aid.
Yes.
So I was already volunteering my services to Philippine Red Cross during that time as an ambulance, as an ambulance crew and as a chapter volunteer. Let's put it that way, as a chapter volunteer.
Right.
Because I am a registered nurse and most of my fellow volunteers are not. That gave me the edge because if I do training, if I work well, it came to a point that I have to help out with the trainings as well. If I do standard first aid trainings, I am able to the medical background or the medical implication of doing first aid and like a deeper understanding of what you are doing,
Right.
not just because you're bandaging or doing this and that. So I'm trying to give the rationale of why you are doing things, opposed to you have to do this, you have to do that. So the question that I would always throw to my students would be, why would you think would we need to do? I always start with the why and the how. So that's like it's quite difficult for some, but I find it a way to gauge my students on the first day. So I would know who I will have train a little bit stricter. I would know clues or which type of quizzes I will give them and what type of task I will have to throw to them.
So during this Red Cross volunteering and hospital volunteering that you did, so this was also in you're juggling it together with that marketing, PR, events,
Yeah, of course.
coordinating
Like
thing.
imagine this. Imagine this. On a weekday, I work. Let's say I work in a resort or I work in
Oh,
a hotel. Yeah, imagine that. At night, if I'm in the city, at night I work in the ambulance. Or at weekends, I work in the ambulance. When
yep.
I was able to volunteer in the hospital, I have to request my shift either night shift only because I have to do other work in the morning.
So you're
Imagine
like
this.
superwoman back
Not
then.
really. Well, call me crazy. Maybe I would say I am a bit crazy at that time.
But your craziness has led you somewhere where you are now, I guess.
Oh yeah. This craziness actually taught me how to manage, even if I am out in the open. Like imagine me landing over a job here in the UK. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, and can you go with us through the process on how did you select it? You
Oh,
mentioned that you mentioned that you didn't really plan it in the first
yes.
place. Yeah.
Well, I would have to, I would have to give credit to one of my peers, one of my very closest friends, John. And he's actually the one who made everything possible, to be fair. At one point during our ambulance runs in the Philippine Red Cross, where we both worked, when we met, we were not really butting heads with each other because we were both on the same school. He was at boys high, I was at girls high. And we were on the same college. He was in College of Nursing as well. To think he's my senior.
Mm.
So not really like a very long, large amount of time for a gap. He was able to actually introduce me to one of the persons responsible for giving IELTS scholarship. Yeah, IELTS scholarship most of the or for aspiring nurses. But before that, he made me apply to one of the manpower resource. Well, there's a career event in back in Marriott. He just made me like prepare all my things, prepare all my papers. Good thing I have a list, a copy of all my certificates and stuff. He just allowed me, or he just asked me to send a resume, and then when selected, go to Marriott. The fact is, I didn't receive a reply email. So what I did, I just went on, walked in,
Mm.
and when I was asked who referred me, I gave the name of my friend, which they
Right.
recognized and said, "Oh, okay, ma'am, just come in." So
Mm-hmm.
imagine I was from night shift at that time because I was working back in the BPO at that time because I have to earn a little bit extra because I know I have to study for IELTS. I have to prepare for other stuff. It's quite a large amount to prepare. So I went back to the BPO. I got a call. Oh no, not really a call. I almost forgot that the following day would be the interview. I went to Marriott. Good thing my haggardness did not show and I didn't have sleep because I came from night shift. So
Mm.
went there, went through the interview,
Straight
clean
to the
up,
interview.
straight to the interview, had a panel interview.
Oh my
Just my
god.
luck. Panel interview. Good thing I was still in my sanity and in my wits at that time. I didn't mess up. So I was really worried at the same time. I was like, okay, Lord, if this is your will, then thy will be done. That was actually my prayer at the time. Um, they actually announced who made it to the cut. I was
Mm.
like the second or the third to the last person that they called. So I was like,
It's
okay.
like right on that spot, like right on that day, straight
Right on
from
the day.
the
Like,
straight
yes,
straight
because
from the night shift, you got that scholarship.
it was, and to think it was not just a scholarship, it was a job offer. It was
Oh,
already a job offer for the trust. So I was like, huh? Seriously?
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And that was 2017. And I was like, December 2017. I couldn't forget that. I was like, okay. So Christmas came early. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Wow.
Okay, so what's next? And then so they said, okay, the next thing is you have to finish your IELTS because we will be, or the trust will be spending for your IELTS. And then once you pass your IELTS, you have to take the first part of the licensure, which is computer-based test. So the computer-based test is actually a series of questions, just like the licensure exam for nurses in the Philippines. However, it's a European setting or it's UK setting. All you need to do is to finish everything,
How
and
long?
then,
How long is the exam, and how many questions?
well, the questions was around 150 or 150.
190? Or
I
and
forgot,
is
was
it
it
like multiple
120?
choice?
It was multiple choice and select the best answer. That was the
Mm.
problem. You have to select the best answer. And that was for CBT. However, for IELTS, it is divided into four different components: speaking, listening, reading, and then writing. Writing task one and task two. So when I took my first IELTS exam, I breezed through reading, speaking, especially speaking, and listening. I breezed through it. Listening, for the first time that I took it, I aced it at 9. For speaking, I had it at 8.5. For reading, I had it at 7. My problem was my writing was actually 6.0. And I was like, what the heck is happening? Why am I getting a 6? And to think I am a writer, I got a 6.
And
So
then
I
what
was like,
happened there? So do you have to?
I have to
But it will
retake
be
it
like an
1 more time.
average, right?
No, it was not an average. You have to get at least 6.5 for
Okay.
everything.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, so I need to take it again. But the problem was IELTS is very expensive. I have to wait for a few months. And then I did like an online review as well as a face-to-face review. I only went like a very few times in the review center. I used to review on my own. If I am working during the day, like I am working on a corporate office or whatnot, what I'll do is I'll just have to listen to the audio and
Mm-hmm.
then hide the browser. Yeah, hide the browser and then just listen to the audio while I am doing my email, I'm doing my company reports, I'm doing everything. Just listen to the audio. So it's
Mm.
different. So I have to like do the tasks. I have to do the practice sheets at home. I can send it via email. That's how I managed to pass my next exam, my next IELTS exam. On my next IELTS exam, I still got in my writing part, I still did not fare it very well. I still got 6.5, but well, 6.5 is 6.5, and I said, okay, Lord, if this is what you meant by passing it and having a job offer, then yes. Next is CBT. That's computer based test.
Ah,
That's
the
for
nursing.
the nursing stuff.
Yep.
I did the exam. I did the exam. The first time I did the exam, I actually failed. The first exam was in Manila. The second exam was in Cebu. I had passed the second one, but the thing is, with CBT, you wouldn't be told as to how much percentage you got. It's either a pass or a fail.
Oh.
CBT is now done. IELTS is done. I'm already cleared. What's next? Now they said, okay, since you've already passed your CBT, you have to make sure that your visa is already fast track. And I was like, what? So you have to go to Manila to submit yourself for the IOM test, which is like the sputum exam, blah blah blah.
Ah,
Then
okay,
I have to
okay.
undergo, yeah, I have to undergo the medical exam. So I went to Manila again, went to the agency, did all the paperwork and everything,
Did they
and
pay
then
for it, JL? The
yeah,
trust?
yeah, the
Oh,
agency, yeah, the trust actually paid the agency for the processing, so I don't have to
okay.
pay anything.
Oh.
The only thing that I paid was for my second take for all my exams, which I failed on the first try. Because
Yep.
the thing is, the first exam and the IELTS and the CBT are actually free. However, if you fail, you will have to pay for the second one.
Mm. Sounds reasonable. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's reasonable. And then I did went over through the process. So went to Manila, went to my agency, did everything, processed everything. Had to stay like 2, 3 days in Manila for that. And then once everything was already processed, went back to Cebu. However, my last hurdle was my OEC certificate. The OEC had a problem. So a day before my expected flight, I had to rush to Manila so
Oh
that
my
the
God.
agency can go to OWA and have my OEC reprinted. The regional office here in Cebu won't be able to do anything. It has to be the Manila office. So
So
I
you
have
have.
to call them. Yeah, I have to call them and say, Miss, you have to go to OWA and have my OEC reprinted because of this, blah 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 blah. Blah. And she said, no, that's not how the OWA said. That's not how like blah blah blah. And I said, no, you have to talk to the regional director here on my front. So I passed the phone over to her. So they have to talk. And she was actually told off by the regional director and said, I can't do anything about it. You have to do it in Manila. In Manila, I was able to do my PDOS in Manila as well. So that was like simultaneously doing things at the same time. Yeah, so everything was like whew, in a whirlwind. To be honest, I was racing against time during that. So after everything, I had the orientation done. I was able to meet my cohort ladies, and then we were given the ticket. We were given, the final instructions. One of the best value hostels in Makati that I always stay if I'm in Manila. That's the hostel. I went to the church of St. Peter and St. Paul, which is like 15 minutes walk from the hostel.
Mhm.
So it was like the last, how was that? The last
Yeah.
prayers before I
Before you leave.
left.
How was it when you first arrived?
When we arrived in Bury St. Edmunds, we were surprised because we were greeted by the hospital staff as well as the Filipino community. Didn't even know
Oh,
that something like that existed. So we were placed into our accommodation in Beacon House, one of the newly created accommodation for staff of the hospital. They prepared food for us, typical hug,
typical
and
hug prior COVID-19, right?
yeah, prior COVID-19, it was like the hug, and we were also introduced to our clinical facilitator at the time, which will facilitate our OSCE training.
So for all of this, the accommodation and all of your expenses, it's shouldered by the trust that.
Not really. We were
Okay.
only given 2 months free of the accommodation. The first 2 months are free.
Okay.
Third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. Yeah, the third, the fourth, and the fifth month. That's actually half the price. One room in the flat with all the amenities and stuff would cost you £650 monthly. But since we're new, we're given half price on our third, fourth, and the fifth month. Now, on the sixth month, it's up to you if you stay there or if you don't. Because although it's a flat, although you're having separate rooms, but it's different because the place itself it's
Mm.
lonely, it's depressing, it's I
And
don't
plus
know.
the weather. So,
Plus the weather, so okay, not
yeah.
really a good combination. So yeah, and a chance to rent a house a few minutes away from the hospital. And the
Oh,
good
that's
thing is
great.
this house that I am in at the moment, in front of it, or just across it is the Tesco Express, like a convenience store.
Mm.
We have a butcher just across. There is also a laundromat. There's a locksmith,
Oh.
and there's a locksmith, and there's also a barber shop just across our house. Yeah, at the back of our house, that's where the primary school is. We're just 10 minutes away from the town center where we buy our fresh produce, our fresh meat, we buy everything. So
So,
pre-COVID,
yeah.
pre-COVID, I would always go to the town every week. Even with COVID, with all the hand washing, sanitizer, and mask all over, I still go to the town center because I can't get enough of the town, to be honest. I can't
Mm.
get enough of its unique charm. Yes, Bury St. Edmunds is very small compared to Cambridge or Ipswich.
I've
But
been to Cambridge one time because I went there for work as well for like over a
mhm,
month, and I went to
but it's very nice.
Cambridge.
It's really nice. Cambridge is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Very nice. So it's
I
just
like
near
Cambridge.
Cambridge, this Bury St. Edmunds.
The rate at St. Edmunds is 45 minutes away from Cambridge via train. So it's
Okay.
really near.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
really near.
great.
Yeah.
And how is
Buried
the
in Edmonds is
culture?
like, well, I would say it's a proper English countryside town. It's a posh countryside town. Most of the constituents here in Bury St. Edmunds are actually estate owners. 80% of the population is elderly. And most of our patients are from the community, are
Okay.
very elderly. So common issues would be dementia, Alzheimer's, also alcohol intoxication. Whether we like it or not, the Brits love their ales and the
Yeah.
lagers. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they love drinking. The pubs are actually open. Pre-COVID, almost every street in town you would notice a drinking pub. Even our house is just like what 10 steps away from a pub.
Oh.
Yeah,
And so
but
do you find yourself going there every weekend?
no, I don't really actually go into a pub. Not unless if I
Why?
have a date. Not unless if I have a date.
Okay. Oh yeah, but if we like, do you go with
No. Oh
Filipino
yeah.
nurses as well, or
Yeah. Pre-COVID,
normally?
pre-COVID time,
Mm,
pre-COVID days, we always have either a weekend eat out session or a barbecue session. Pre-COVID days, we always have like an eat out session in one of the houses of our fellow Filipino community peers.
and
Get what I mean?
how much is like the rent in Bury St. Edmunds? Like a
Normally,
range.
the range, this would actually range from 675 to 700 to 750. Sometimes the houses would cost per month would cost around 1,000 or 1,200 because it's like either 3 or 4 bedroom house. And you
Oh,
seldom find a landlord here in Berry that would allow 4 people in one house, like 4 bedroom house. So they would seldom allow tenancy for 4 people that are not related. Most of the tenants here in Berry would only allow tenancy or, someone to rent, would only allow tenancy if you are a family. If not,
mm,
the max that you can do is 4 or 3 persons in a house, like 3 bedroom house. Because
mm,
here in the UK, you can't actually share anybody. You have to have your own bedroom, not unless it's your husband or it's your wife you're sharing.
right. And how is the social norms there that like you have to adjust? What are the peculiarities that it's like kind of very different from our culture
Well,
that you have to adjust?
culture-wise, they value privacy. So if they say they're not happy for you to come, then don't come. They value privacy in a sense that they don't like people getting nosy about what they're doing. You have to respect begets respect. Like if they respected you for what you are, you have to respect them back as well. Just be genuinely happy for everybody. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
people
great.
get happy for you, and then you have to get happy for them too. I mean, what's the point of getting so grumpy about it and so
Right.
aggressive?
Yeah, you mentioned about being a nurse in the hospital and you had some COVID patients.
Yeah.
How is it being a nurse in the
First
middle of the
wave,
pandemic?
on the first wave of the pandemic, it was a shock to all of us because we don't know what to expect. Now the second wave came in. Well, there was like a temporary freedom after being locked down, like the first hard lockdown.
Mm,
The second lockdown was like a cross between a lockdown and not a lockdown because you won't really feel it as a lockdown unlike the first time. The first time where everything was shut. But again, eventually the people realized that the virus is there. We have to coexist with it. So on the second lockdown, the essential shops were open.
did you had some experiences and or exposure in taking care of COVID positive
Of
patients?
course, of
And then
course.
how was it? How was the experience?
Since back in December, all of my patients are COVID positive. To be fair,
Mm,
you have to tackle 2 or 3 different illnesses at a time. They have COVID at the same time they're diabetic. or they had COVID at the same time they have sepsis, they have chronic kidney failure, they had acute kidney injury. So it's a multifaceted and a multidisciplinary team that does the job. You can't do it alone. You have to
Right.
liaise with the pharmacies, with the officials, and with the doctors as to what to do. Those patients that are having COVID would really need oxygen. Most of them would actually need oxygen. Sometimes they will deteriorate very quickly, like overnight they will deteriorate. Like I had
Mm.
the one patient who is very calm and very reassuring. However, she did get deteriorated and we have to transfer her to a different ward. And
Mm.
there was also one that is not symptomatic. They didn't have the symptoms but is positive because he was placed in an area where there are other positive patients.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was like either cross contamination or whatnot because everybody was already positive. Even if we did have like close or contact base at that matter, everyone is positive. So I am still wondering why I haven't got the virus yet, but I am showing this, but I am showing the symptoms.
Ah,
And
okay.
I think back in the first wave I did got it, but I didn't it didn't like progress into something fatal. Maybe
Mm.
because my immunity at the time was a little bit high. So it didn't
Mm.
progress into something fatal. But I think I had it because when I did my antibody testing, which would tell us if we had it or not, I got positive on the antibody testing, meaning I had it at some point, but I was not how do I say it? I didn't really recognize it as the virus because maybe I just thought it was like a normal flu. Now I'm still having runny nose and cough, but I didn't have any spike in temperature yet. Could be another infection boiling somewhere.
Maybe
Could
because
not
it's
be.
just the weather, because it's currently winter there, and
Well, it
yeah,
could be the winter sickness. Yeah, as I say, it could be the winter sickness,
or
or it
maybe
could
you're
be the flu.
lovesick.
I don't know. I'm not. No, I'm no. It's really weird because like pre-COVID, I used to go on dinner dates.
Mm.
Not really frequently, but I did a couple of times. And then COVID came, and then dating just becomes so difficult. It was even difficult pre-COVID. How much more now?
Oh my god, yeah, it's like now. But anyway, we like we're hoping that it's, I don't know if it's gonna go away soon. But is there some chance in the
And
UK
I
that?
don't think,
Hmm?
sorry, I don't think it will come away very soon. But
Unfortunately.
yeah, but it's just a manner of actually coexisting with the virus. Like it's how you adapt to it and how you trace it accordingly. Because what we do here in the hospital is we treat the symptoms as they appear.
Okay. Mm.
Yeah, because we don't really know what to do with it, to be honest. So we have to try to manage the symptoms as it appears and then try to see if that has resolved.
Mm.
More fluids, more antibiotics, more bloods.
Did you had some patients before that were younger, or they are more in the older spectrum?
Our ward is actually an elderly ward. So
Ah,
most of
okay.
our patients are in the 40s, 50s, 60s to 80s, sometimes 90s.
Did did someone die perhaps during their
Oh,
battle with
well,
COVID? A lot.
death is always around the corner. Yes. There are patients in our ward. Normally, there are patients that have been diagnosed with other illnesses and then got COVID, and then you know did the other way around, rested in peace.
Mm.
There are also other patients that we really have to transfer to a different area to have more treatment, and then the next thing we realize, they passed away.
It's really, when you're a nurse, it's like you need to have that strength
Well, I think
to.
sometimes it's like emotional numbness. To be fair, I'm guilty of this one because there are times that I don't really feel the emotion anymore. I
But
don't
that's
feel the
good.
compassion.
I Yeah, I think that's
It's
good for
both a
your
good
profession.
Well, I would say it's both good and a bad thing as it is. Good thing because you still have that compassion, you still have that empathy towards the other. Bad because you don't really feel. It's like more of an emotional burnout. Like
Mm,
you don't really feel the heartstrings. You
because there's
just
a lot
treat
of
it
patience.
accordingly. No, aside from that, it's emotionally exhausting already. We've
Mm,
been battling this since last year.
right.
I'm out of my wits already. I'm at my breaking point. I've always been in my breaking point since last year. There are times that I do meltdowns. There are times that I definitely wanted to be alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. There are times I wanted to go out and just, solo walk just by myself, go out, just enjoy the environment while I'm out. A few minutes outside and a few
Yeah.
minutes of walking outside. Yeah, that's what I do.
But it's good that you're still holding yourself together as
Well,
so
I'm trying to
far.
keep myself together. I'm keeping my sanity intact at the moment. I'm trying to pull all my shits together, as they say, because
Yeah,
it's difficult and
exactly.
it's not easy to um to be in this type of system, to be in this type of environment, to be in this type of profession.
Situation
As
and
they
yeah,
say,
profession.
as they say, you signed up for it, so you have to man up, suck it up, and just move on. That's how they say it. Like it's a brutal way of saying it. Just to man up and just do what you need to do. But the
And
thing
I,
is, I'm
yep.
getting tired.
Like I totally understand your feeling right now, even though I'm not in your shoes. It's very much difficult to, for me as a bystander to really feel what you
Yeah,
feel, but I totally understand. And I guess for
it's
us,
difficult.
yeah. And for us, we really value the contribution that our medical people has provided in this time, because
Yeah,
without the medical people and even the essential workers, or the your everyday butcher, let's say, like they are very, like they're keeping us alive in a sense, because if some, like medical people and even those people who even get your garbage daily garbage,
yeah.
like
It's also like one way of showing the community you value them when you actually recognize even the little stuff that each one contributes to the community.
right,
That's a very how would I say it? It's a very uplifting example. Because you don't only exist by your own, you don't only exist by yourself. You have the others
coexist
to
with, and
coexist with. Yeah,
yeah,
so to coexist with. So you have the others, and you also have the other circumstance to be thankful for.
right,
Good for us that we have been used to the hustle and bustle when we were still back in the Philippines. Because if not, we would have a hard time catching up with whatever life throws to us here.
exactly. We're kind of used to seeing hardships in life, so we kind of have that resilience in us and brought it to where we are currently and tried to survive from there.
Yeah, that's actually just something that we should need to do. Survival of the fittest, as they say. I would
Samurai
always
X.
remember. Yeah, I would always
Shishio, oh my
remember.
god, yeah.
I know. I know. I would always remember Sensei would say, never say never,
Yeah.
just get it done. Just get it done. Okay, fine. But
Now that
never
we've
say
talked
die.
about it, yeah, I kind of miss our Kenjutsu days, and I hope we could at least reconnect with our
I
fellow
know.
Kenjutsu mates. What are your recommendations for our listeners out there who would like to visit Bury St. Edmunds or even in the UK? What can you
Yeah,
recommend to them?
well, post COVID, I would say,
Right.
you definitely have to visit Bury St. Edmunds because we're a historical town. First things first, if you know Mary, the Queen of Scots, Mary, when she died, she was actually known as the Duchess of Suffolk. And she was buried here originally in Bury St. Edmunds at the St. Mary's Cathedral before her remains were transferred to Westminster Abbey in London.
Oh.
That's one. That's one. Oh no, Saint Edmund is also from here. That's why we are named Bury St. Edmunds because this is where St. Edmund was actually buried. The Abbey Gardens is actually part of a very big medieval era castle before. Only the remains now are seen. We have the Abbey Gate, the Abbey Gardens Gate, and we also have like the adjacent structures are still there. The St. Edward's Cathedral, which is a big cathedral, although not as big as Westminster and the other cathedrals, but it's large enough. We also have, or yeah, the St. Mary's Cathedral. We actually have one priest here in Bury St. Edmunds that is actually a Filipino coming
Mm.
from Davao. So that's why he's one of the persons that would actually make the Misa de Gallo a reality. So
Right.
that's why we were able to have the Misa de Gallo, and it's his like panata. It's his like
Promise to God
it's
or
his promise every year that COVID or no COVID, by
right.
hook or by crook, he would actually celebrate the Misa de Gallo just to keep the Filipino tradition alive. We also have the ancient graveyard, although there is already a public cemetery near our house actually, just a few
Mm.
blocks away. If
Isn't
you're
it
really
creepy,
looking
JL?
into, no, it's not. Contrary to the popular belief that graveyards and cemeteries are creepy, no, it's peaceful. It's really peaceful. It's serene. It's If you're looking into tombstones that are like 18th century tombstones, go to the graveyard. Like
Oh.
seriously, you would see a lot of those people who died in the 18th, 16th century still there.
Me and our listeners, we would really hope that you will have your full recovery soon. And can you share to us your social media handles?
Oh, sure. You can always just check my social media accounts, guys. For Instagram, I have two. I have Viajera Cebuana and Viajera Cebuana _e. So that would be spelled out as Viajera. It's like Viajera, like a Spanish word for female traveler. So
Mm.
yeah, because I'm part Chinese, part Spanish, so that's why.
Ah,
I also have my blog site. It's already up and running. That's viajeracebuana.net. I also have Facebook pages. I have Viajera Cebuana. And the other one is Tinta ni Hara Humamay. It's my poetry, my literary page. It's been a while. I haven't seen you. I've actually missed our Kenjutsu classes, to be fair.
yeah, yeah. It's like we're just actually just resharing the memories in
I
Facebook.
know. And how many pounds was it ago? Our lost pounds. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think you're the only one who didn't change. The three
Who
of us
did?
actually changed.
We-